Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Starbucs with Jim and Donardo. I'm your host, Anthony Donardo. With me, of course, is our co-host, Jim Rosati. Jim, happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Good morning.
Wonderful morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It was a nice, relaxing weekend. Had a football game on Saturday, but outside that, it was an early game Saturday, so got to chill for the majority of the game. But yeah, it was a nice weekend.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. This is like the last week of, I guess like one more, but it's like the last week of October coming up. It's about to be November. I'm scared. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, good weekend. Good stuff. Football yesterday. The last game before the World Series happened last night. We actually have a World Series coming up. Yankees versus Dodgers. We nailed our predictions last week. Nailed it.
Yeah, gotta imagine Major League Baseball's happy right now. I think they would have been happy with a couple different outcomes, but they got to be excited that they hit the two biggest markets. That's what's left. This is probably going to be a highly watched World Series. Two pretty good teams. Yeah, I'm not a fan of either team, but it should be good baseball. Like, the one thing these two teams don't lack is star quality.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's you think about it. The Yankees, the seasons that Judge has had, the season that Soto has had, Giancarlo playoff time, Garrett Cole, and then the Dodgers, I mean, the season Shohei Ohtani had. And of course, their long list of players as well. But I'm with you. Like, this is going to be an interesting series. It'll be a good series, I feel. And, as much as like the teams are two really good teams, they both have their flaws, especially right now in the end of October as well. So it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see who wins this, because I don't know who I'm taking. I'm leaning towards New York, but like, it's the big bag Dodgers. I mean, you look at that lineup. Well, you used to look at that lineup, thought the ball, but again, like it's so weird. The Dodgers had so much depth for days, hitting wise, pitching wise, and it's depleting.
I mean, they've had, I think, back-to-back bullpen games for, they had a game 4, I think, bullpen game last in the NLDS, game 6 bullpen game in the NLCS. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to see a team that spent that much money on their payroll and get this far without really having a starting rotation. Like, the Yankees have kind of relied on their starting pitchers to get them through the
Right.
playoffs. They've been like the one team that has avoided having to go that bullpen game route. So like they've relied on their starting pitching depth, but a lot of other teams kind of not necessarily going that route. You're seeing a lot of bullpen usage this season. I feel like we're just moving towards that more and more now, especially in the postseason. It's like it's all about the bullpens. But Yankees made it on the backs of their starting pitchers and their stars. I mean, that's what they're here for. Like you mentioned, Stanton, and then Judge and Soto. Those three have pretty much carried New York to this point offensively. And yeah, from a pitching standpoint, pretty decent starting pitching.
Yeah, absolutely. And, going back to the Dodgers thing, it's crazy talking about the bullpen games, but, like, when they do have a starter, like, Walker Buehler starting baseball games, and, like, not to take away his career, fantastic career, but coming off the surgery, and he's been awful this year. So it's like even when they do have a starter, this guy's not even making the Pirates rotation, and he's starting in very pivotal playoff games. So, yeah, it is kinda crazy what they're doing, but they have a fantastic bullpen. Granted, the Yankees have a really good bullpen as well. Plus, they do have the starting pitching. Plus, they do a very top heavy, albeit very good top heavy lineup there. So, yeah, again, like what's going to be kind of cool though, maybe not cool, but good for both teams also is just the fact that there is this delay, right, for the first game. So the Dodgers do get the hopefully rest up, that bullpen, get healthy. Same with the Yankees. So like both teams should be fresh, so there's that. We'll see if that, lingers though for the lineups. The bats get cold now with this layoff.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday that if the well, yesterday's game was the Dodgers, right? Yeah, so if the Dodgers win yesterday, yeah, we
The,
go
the
this
game that
whole
happened
week.
3 hours ago.
Yeah, the whole week doesn't get any like, we have no baseball this week, essentially.
Yeah.
Off today, off Tuesday, off Wednesday, off Thursday. So, yeah, there's 4 off days between the end of the championship series and the World Series. Yeah, not a huge fan of that. Like, I feel like, take advantage of the momentum, like, keep it going. But, yeah, there's gonna be, like, a week layoff here where, teams will get healthy, teams will get rested up, but yeah, it's kinda weird in that we gotta wait this long. Not a fan of that.
Um, yeah, I guess I mean it's hard to argue your point, like baseball is an everyday sport. It's always a baseball game on pretty much every single day. And then now there's going to be a long layover of no baseball. But like on the other side too, because it's such a grueling season and I guess it's more for scheduling, right? I mean, you can plan this out in advance and know when the games are and such, but it just works out that the series ended rather quickly. Um, but like, yeah, I mean, I guess the way I kind of look at it too is you're enabling both teams to come in at full strength. Also, now is it fair? Is it not fair? I don't know. You talk about the momentum, but also the sense of like what if one team did sweep and now they're fresh and the other team had to go and their ace started game 7 and now they're only getting their ace maybe twice in that series if they're lucky. The other one can go 3. So as usual, I give both sides of it, Jim. But yeah, I mean, I guess that also makes for a good series too. Like I said, like both teams are going to be ready to go as most, top strength as you can get. So like no excuses.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, everybody's gonna be able to start whoever they want game 1. They're gonna be able to start whoever they want game 2. So, like, the teams are gonna be able to set themselves up the way they want to for a 7-game series. But, yeah, I'm not a fan of just having to wait for stuff. Not very
Right.
patient.
Well, I'm absolutely that.
Yeah.
I hate waiting. So yeah, I
It's my
understand
baseball,
that.
and I want it now.
And there's really only minimum of 4 games left, maximum of 7 for the entire season. This is it.
Yep.
This is it. Crazy to think, but this is it.
2 teams left.
So, what's your prediction? Did you say?
I haven't said. I think what's gonna happen, I think the Yankees with their starting pitching, I think that's gonna be the difference maker. Because the Dodgers, I mean, all reality here, they're probably gonna have to rely on at least 1, maybe even 2 bullpen games if you count Walker Bueller as basically a bullpen game,
Right?
which you kinda are at
Right.
this point. Like, he's not
Yeah.
he's not giving you any sort of length. So when you throw that in the mix, it's just I mean, the Yankees got 4 guys they can throw out there who are all pretty good, and the Dodgers just don't have that. So I'm gonna give the edge to the Yankees. I think the Yankees win in 6. That's gonna be my official prediction. Yankees win
Okay.
4-2.
I like that. I mean, it's hard to go 5. I mean, these teams are I mean, regardless, these teams are so good. I don't know if they match up well in a sense, but like 6 is a nice number. I don't know if it's going to go 7. I don't know if it's going to go 5. You know what I mean? I would rather say 6, but you know what? Let's do this. We want as much baseball as possible. We want the dramatics, right? Let's go Dodgers, Yankees in 7. Hopefully someone wins on a walk-off or something dramatic.
Yeah, let's see, is the series do the Dodgers have home field? I think that's right.
I think so, right? Didn't the NL
Alright, Dodgers have home field. It's not based on the All-Star game anymore. I think it's
Yeah,
just,
that's
yeah,
why I
best
kind of
record,
stopped.
and yeah, that was Dodgers, so yeah, so Dodgers get home field advantage, so 4 games in LA, 3 in New York. They do the World Series a little bit different, right? In that, I don't know, it's still 2-3-2. So games 3, 4, 5 in New York, 1, 2, and then if necessary, 6 and 7 in LA. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Yankees on this one.
I am too. That's where I'm at also. I just again, like the Dodgers are smart. They're a very smart organization. We are aware of that. And like when it comes to the bullpen games, like if there's a team that can get away with it, the Dodgers, the Rays, like I'm fully confident they can. It's just there's still that risk in the bullpen game. You're relying on so many arms to be good instead of just one. Like there's that risk. If one of the 7 doesn't have it today, that could lose the ball game. Whereas Garrett Cole has it, he shuts you down. So again, I just I think the starting pitching is typically where it's going to come down to with playoffs. The the Yankees have it, and I'm going and riding with the Yankees. So there it is. And Juan Soto clearly the MVP, right? Heading into his $1 billion free agency.
You know what? I'm gonna say Garrett Cole is MVP.
That's a very good pick because he very well could be.
Yeah. He's gonna get 2 starts, and they're gonna win both.
He could do like the 2 starts in didn't he do that with Houston? He had like 2 starts and he came in for like a bullpen, came in a
Yeah,
relief.
I think so.
Yeah, he could do that again. Make sure he shuts this team down and gets that win. I like that pick. And I just think obviously if the Dodgers do win, it's Ohtani.
Yeah. Like, and he's playing so well too. Like, I
Yes.
feel like he's playing well. I haven't even looked at his numbers. I just know that I've seen him hit the ball over the fence quite often. So
Right.
yeah, there's that. But yeah, yesterday Dodgers quickly this. I mean, that game was pretty much over early. The Mets came back and made it a little bit of a game. In the 4th inning yesterday.
They were trying.
They tried. They tried. But yeah, Shohei Ohtani, 934 OPS in that NLCS. Mookie Betts, OPS over 1,000. Max Muncy has been having a ridiculous postseason.
Edmund,
Yeah, Tommy Edman, cleanup hitter Tommy
cleanup hitter.
Edman for the Dodgers. Kike Hernandez who's been just trash for the last couple of years. He's been playing great all postseason as well. So yeah, it's been that lineup has had some I think we were actually joking the other day. The broadcast talked about how much length that there was in the Dodgers lineup, and you're like, well, not really. It's just like their role players are playing really well right now, and that's adding that length. I mean, listen,
Right.
Tommy Edman's been batting 4th. Kike Hernandez is batting 5th at times. It's not necessarily the sign of a long lineup, but when those two are hitting the ball the way they are, it certainly helps.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, I mean, the length is there because they are hitting, but like that's a 2023 Pittsburgh Pirates lineup, maybe 2022 with those
Yeah,
guys at 4 and 5. Edman barely league average hitter on the season, 98. And yeah, Kike Hernandez. I mean, this guy is he's like the Austin Hedges vibes guy, basically. That's like what it's come down to. Like he was a solid utility player. He comes up pretty big, in playoffs. Now, I
mhm,
guess Austin Hedges is going a little too far, but like he's not a starter by any means, and now he's your fifth hitter in the playoffs.
right.
Meaningful baseball for the Dodgers to have this $1 trillion payroll. So yeah, it's just kind of crazy. And again, that's what I'm talking about. It's funny, like these two teams are good, but they're certainly flawed. And they're piecing things together though, especially the Dodgers side, which again is just so crazy to me. This team has no depth, and that's all they had was just tons of depth. But the depth is coming through and playing well also. Imagine that, Jim. Imagine that.
Having good depth.
Good players.
Yeah.
Period. But yeah, I'll say that. I mean, the two series were fun. Like even that Guardians Yankees was a really good series.
Yeah. That was there's been some pretty good games. I think that the Dodgers Mets series wasn't as enjoyable because I feel like those games, like either they were Mets blowouts or Dodgers blowouts. There wasn't a whole lot of
True.
drama in that series, but that Yankees Guardians series was great.
Very much.
That was good baseball.
Yep. All right. Well, Jim, should we talk about those Pittsburgh Pirates?
Let's do it. Not much to talk about with them. It's been a pretty quiet week, but we are approaching the off season. I mean, with the World Series coming up, that means there's basically 2 more weeks of baseball season, and then it's officially the off season.
Yep. Yep. So the Pirates can now rejoin the rest of the league on baseball activities. But you're right. I mean, they're not that you would expect a whole lot, but early on we had the coaching maneuvers. Sherrington spoke, and since then it's been pretty quiet on all fronts. Um, so yeah, like not a whole lot to actually talk about. So what we're gonna do here is maybe just talk about maybe a person that this team seems to find as a good fit in free agency. Like who's a person that this team should be attacking? What all signs point that you are a Pittsburgh Pirates, based off of need or whatever you have you. So Jim, why don't you go first?
Yeah, so I was watching The Point on Friday. If you haven't watched it, make sure you go back and do that. And I think this was one of my favorite questions from that episode is when you went around and asked this question to everybody. And I think everybody gave a pretty good answer. Everyone had a different answer, but the names being thrown out, I could get on board with all of them. There was one name that was missing that no one talked about. That was Juan Soto. But
See, I had his picture up on the graphic.
but
That's obvious
no,
choice.
it's funny because let's be real. That's not happening. But God, it would be a great fit, right? Like it's an impactful bat in a corner outfield spot. Like it would solve a lot of this team's problems. And it's frustrating because I mean Juan Soto is going to go out there. He's going to get an insane contract. It's going to be a 14-year deal, 600 million. Like it's going to be an insane contract.
Yes.
There's only going to be 3 or so teams that are even probably gonna throw their name in the hat. Like, it's gonna be the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers, like, that's probably the list, like, those 3 teams, and that's it. And I think what's frustrating about that is you're looking at a generational talent, and like $600 million over 14 years is a lot of money, but like everyone should be able to pay that for someone like Juan Soto. Like, I'm not saying the Pirates are gonna do it. I'm not saying the Pirates are even gonna entertain the idea. But I think what's frustrating is people thinking that the Pirates can't do it because I just refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe the Pirates can't do that deal. Um, but here we are. Here we are. Not going to happen. So, out of the realistic options, and I think when we're talking realistic, there's even some other names out there that like Anthony Santander was a name that Cody threw out. Little bit more, on the cheaper side, but he's also going to get a lot of money. I mean, he had a mega year this season, and he's going to get paid.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think the Pirates are going to be in on that. But again, someone who would fit a great need. Teoscar Hernandez, probably a guy who would fit a really great need too, but will likely be out of the Pirates' price range. So then you start looking at like that next tier. Tyler O'Neill, I think, is in that tier. Michael Conforto, maybe perhaps in that tier. Not maybe the thing that scares me about Tyler O'Neill, and that was Alex's answer to this question. The thing that scares me about Tyler O'Neill is just the availability aspect of him.
Mhm.
He still hasn't really shown at all that he's capable of playing a full season of baseball. I don't think he's done it ever.
He's played over 100 games twice.
Yeah.
138 and 113 this year.
So 138 games. That was the most games he ever played. And
And
that
that's
was
parts of 7 seasons.
in 2021 too. So I mean, it was a while ago. I think the one thing that you can kind of look at is the years that he was like, you can clearly tell when he's healthy, he's a good ball player. Like the
Yeah.
2 seasons where he played the most were his 2 best seasons, and he crushed the ball. The seasons where he was missing a lot of games, drop offs. I think that's the concern there, right? If you are the Pirates and you give a deal to someone like Tyler O'Neill, and I'm not sure exactly what Tyler O'Neill's going to get, but he's going to get a multi-year deal, and whoever signs Tyler O'Neill, it's probably going to be the largest free agent deal in Pirates history,
Mhm.
right? Can a team like the Pirates afford to risk their largest free agent deal in history on someone who hasn't shown he can play a full season?
Right. That's a tough pill to swallow because like you said, if for such a risk adverse organization, the way nutting operates, you spend that type of money out there and that player's not available, well, we just got to stop paying for free agents.
Right.
They're already in that mindset, it seems like. So I'm with you on that.
Like, I think it would be great to have a bat like that. Be great to have a bat like that. I just when we're talking about a perfect fit, I think the bat's a perfect fit. I just don't think the player is a perfect fit for this organization.
Right.
Um, the problem is that they need an impact bat. The second problem is impact bats cost a lot of money on the free agency market. And that's not something this team has a whole lot of. So going kind of back to my last question, I think if you're going to get an impact bat, it's gonna come via a trade.
Okay. Speak.
So I think, and that's not even the title of this episode, but there are
We
some
might
impact
both be going
bats.
opposite directions
Yeah,
on the
I mean there
title.
are there are impact bats out there who should be at least like teams should be willing to listen to some
Yeah.
guys. Um, whether that's Brent Rooker, whether that's um Luis Robert, like he kind of falls in that same issue as O'Neill, where availability is an issue. But there's going to be bats out there that you could get creative with on the trade market. And I think that's where they need to look. But I still think they need to add a good player specifically for corner outfield.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't mind shortstop either. So a couple names I want to talk about. One, Josh brought up on the show on Friday, and that was Ha-Seong Kim. Ha-Seong Kim has a mutual option for next season with the Padres for $8 million. He's
Got to
hurt.
say no, right?
He's hurt, right? So he is going to miss probably the first couple of weeks of the season with his shoulder. Last report I'm seeing is that he's hoping to be in game action by mid-April. So he's coming off a pretty good year, 2.6 WAR, 101 weighted runs created plus. He's 29 years old. He's kind of in his prime. $8 million isn't a whole lot of money for a pretty good shortstop. So you got to imagine that if you're the Padres, you're picking up that mutual option, right? But if you're Kim, you're coming off a good year, you play a premium position. If you hit the free agency market, you're probably the number 2 free agent shortstop behind Willy Adames. Like, it's Willy Adames and then it's you. So if I'm Kim, I'm probably not picking up that option unless my shoulder's real messed up. Like, unless my shoulder's messed up and I don't think I can get a really good multi-year deal, then I'm hanging on. But I would imagine, that option is not getting picked up by Kim. So
Right.
he's going to hit the free agency market. And again, last season, 101 weighted runs created plus, 2.6 WAR. Season before, 110 weighted runs created plus, 4.2 WAR. He's put up 3.6, 4.2, 2.6 WAR, 10.5 WAR over the last 3 years. It's been a pretty good shortstop. He's been really good defensively too. So that's a really good fit because the Pirates could use somebody who could play that position well. He comes with the bat. I think he's going to be, pretty expensive being the number 2 shortstop on the market. But I also think he's one of those guys though that you're fine paying a lot of money to, mainly because the defense is going to be good. Like, that's probably going to hold up for at least a few more years. And the bat is clearly good enough. Like, he's not on Willy Adames's level when it comes to the shortstops, but like he's a pretty good one.
Yeah. I was
And
gonna
then
add,
that
but you're gonna have to really
allows,
pay for Willy Adames level though
yeah.
too.
And by getting someone like him, it maybe either makes Isaiah Kiner-Falefa expendable, so you can dump a little bit of money there, and then it allows Jared Triolo to kind of be that guy that you want Jared Triolo to be, which is that super utility guy. So I think that right there is my number 1 target, is Ha-Seong Kim. Number 2, if we're going to the outfield, I kind of like Michael Conforto. We were having the same conversation 2 years ago when Conforto hit the market. He's just kind of a steady bat. He's not like a game changer by any means, but he's a good hitter. You can play him in either corner outfield spot. So if Reynolds is moving to first, he can fill in there. So those are the 2 guys that I'm kind of looking at. I'm looking at Ha-Seong Kim. I'm looking at Michael Conforto.
Okay. I mean, I like both of those. I would love to have Kim on this team. I think I'm with you in the fact that he declines it. And I think also just to kind of put out, like, we're focused on shortstop. That's the Pirates need also, but he plays outstanding defense everywhere. He plays second, possibly his best defensive spot, and third. So like that's marketable for many teams out there. So that's why I think he's going to come with a bit of a cost because his market's open. He can play short, he can play second, he can just be your utility guy, wherever you want to slide him at. And you're right, the bat is playable for sure at any of those positions. I don't know if that's happening for the Pirates. It's like this team has so many problems, and typically they're not solved by dumping cash onto them. So what's ironic, like I said, I feel like both of us are going the opposite way of what this title is. Like, what's the one player, right? Honestly, like if I am putting money into one player, it's Teoscar Hernandez. And I don't think it's happening. I think for the same reasons, you're saying, but man, is that guy good? Defensively, offensively, I just think he'll be a really good fit here also. It's just a nice signing. That's going to get you this offense. That's everything this offense needs. And defensively. It's just not going to happen though. But I
Right.
think that would be the one person with me, because I'm with you with Tyler O'Neill also. Like, I think it'd be good, but it's kind of tough. Like, what if he is out for 2 months? You just spend all this money. Your biggest free agent, at least in the past decade. Your
I
biggest
mean,
free agent signing.
it's going to be ever. Like whoever's like Tyler O'Neill's signing for more than $40 million or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever that number is,
But if he's out for 2 months, man, we just spent all that money. We put this percentage of our payroll into this one player, and he's not even here. Man, that was rough. So I'm with you that I think a trade's going to happen. Honestly, like I said, the one player for me is Teoscar Hernandez, but I don't think that's the way this team's going to go. And something that's making me think, again, we talk about creativity. This team's going to have to get creative. I think Brian Reynolds at first base makes a lot of sense. However, walk with me, Jim. I think there's a player that the Pirates need to say sorry to. We messed up. We're sorry. Let's bring you back home, because he had a very productive season. And I think he'll come, maybe not as cheap as he did last year, but maybe he'll come cheaper than what he's worth to be in Pittsburgh, because it seemed like he wanted to be there. And that's what should have happened to begin with. But Carlos Santana plays excellent defense. And the bat for the past 2 seasons, and this season was a little bit better than last, but for the past 2 seasons, also the bat hasn't been bad. So he's come with multiple WAR at a first base position that saw negative WAR for not that much more in salary. So, like, I feel almost like, what if they got creative and said, let's bring back some of the boys. Let's go ahead and bring back Carlos Santana at first base. Let's put Brian Reynolds at right field. Let that arm play. Get him out of left. That makes him a little bit better. That's the whole object of putting him at first also, right? Make him better and stuff. Now, it's not ultimately the prime reason, the main reason to put him at first. He's still going to have his legs out there at right field, right? You're not preserving the legs like he is at first. But I think he would play better. That arm we saw fantastic. So I think like he profiles better at right field anyways. Put him at right. Go ahead and solve left field somewhere else, which is my next part. This team has loads of pitching, and I'm with you. I think it's going to come in a trade like the impact bat. Cost controlled, right? You're worried about payroll. There's a plethora of pitching. You have Luis Ortiz. You have Bubba Chandler if it's the right move. But you have a Harrington. You have an Ashcraft. You have a Barco. You have loads of pitching depth that's coming up. Use some of it. You talked about, Rooker. Like if you can make a package to get Rooker, great. Now you have Carlos Santana at first, Brian Reynolds at right, Rooker. I mean, that's a bad defensive outlook too. So maybe Brian Reynolds is staying at left. Okay. But I'm using it as an example, right? You get that package, you get that corner outfielder, and you can do that also because what you're doing is you're also bringing back one of the boys who was a pitcher that the Pirates came and reclaimed, and then they trade him off to the Mets, and now he's with the Mets, and he's pitching fantastic. I'm actually asking right now because I forgot the damn name. Why am I always so bad at names? Holy hell. Holy hell. What the hell's his name? What the hell is his name?
Are you talking about Jose Quintana?
Yeah, Quintana.
Okay.
Bring back Quintana. Like, so again, thinking out loud, bring back Quintana. He adds to your team. Like you can now make your depth expendable without losing it, right? Pay for I think you're going to be able to pay for a number 4 or 5 starter instead of an impact bat, right? So it's going to be more cost effective in doing so. And that's the way to, maintain the rotation still. So I think you pay for a starter, trade depth at the rotation to get your impactful corner outfield spot. And then again, get Carlos Santana. I don't think that it cost astronomically, that much for them too. But ultimately, what I'm really getting at too is this is where Oscar Marine needs to make his stamp. For whatever reason, this Pirates organization has not been able to develop hitters. So you're developing, as we see, pitching, right? Use the pitching to bring in some impactful bats, but and he's done it some, but this is where he got to make his mark for the reclamation projects. This is where he has to go all in, and every year they're able to bring in some reclamation project to turn them into something as they're using their depth from their drafts to get pieces that they need to keep this roster cost controlled as well, because they aren't going to build through free agency.
Yeah, I'm on board with trading a pitcher. And I think the one I'm most on board with is Luis Ortiz.
Right.
I think you're selling high there. I don't know if Luis Ortiz is ever going to have a season as good as he had last year. Like that was as bad as about as good as you can ask for. So I'm on board with that if it means packaging Ortiz maybe with another one of your prospects or two prospects,
Right.
whatever it takes, honestly, to get like that big bat. Yeah, I there's a couple of comments I want to get to here too because we haven't really touched on these guys, but Nolan brings up Jurickson Profar.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be a free agent. He plays he plays multiple positions that could be useful for the Pirates, and I think Profar's an interesting guy because this season he's been outstanding, like just unbelievable this year. 4.3 WAR, 139 weighted runs created plus, 24 home runs. Like the dude was really good this year. His best season by far. I think my biggest concern with Profar is that he's coming off his best season. He's never been remotely as good as this before. Like he's always been a major leaguer, but like his career weighted runs created plus is 99. Like for his career, he's been a below average hitter. This past year, he just went off. So it's like, how much can you really trust that? I personally don't. Like I don't trust it. So if I am giving away some of the little dollars that I have to spend on free agency, you got to imagine Profar is going to be in the mix. People are going to be wanting him after this season, and it's his highest value. So I just feel like it's not the best situation for the Pirates to get involved in. Profar could go out there and do the same thing he did last year, next year, right?
Right.
But we also have 11 years of data showing us that that's not really who he is. Now, we've seen players hit upticks, once they hit their 30s and it clicks for them, right? But we've also seen players have a career year and then hit their mid 30s and just plummet, right? So I think
Oh yeah.
Profar is someone
We've
who I
also
like.
seen players just come to the Pirates, and that's what happens regardless.
Yeah, like I like Profar. I feel like there's not going to be any value there. He's going to get top tier money for the caliber player that he has shown himself to be over the course of his career, and I don't think I'm comfortable throwing my hat in the ring on that one. Another option someone threw out here was like Max Kepler as a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I could get on board with something like that if you're gonna go out there and acquire that impact bat another way.
Right.
Like Kepler is again a solid corner outfield option. Plays decent defense. He's got a decent bat. It's pretty consistent. Like, he doesn't really have a bad he doesn't really play poorly ever. Like, his bad years are average. His good years are Brian Reynolds-esque, right? That's kind of the type of player that he is. Um, another guy you should be able to sign to like a 1 or 2 year deal and not cost too much money either. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Jock Peterson, another name getting thrown around. I think my big thing with a guy like Jock Peterson is I'm done getting these like platoon guys. Like, I want somebody you can throw out there every day, and Jock Peterson isn't that. Like, Jock Peterson is a bad against righties. That's all he is. He also doesn't play the field at all anymore. He didn't play defense once
That's
all
my
last
biggest
season.
thing with him. Yeah.
Um, so there's that. I mean, you could kind of say the same about Rooker too, but I think you could plug Rooker into right field and get away with it, especially at PNC Park. So that's why I'd maybe more on board acquiring him. But I like Peterson's bat from the left side. He's his last 3 years, he's been pretty good. Been pretty good. This last season, he was just really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Kutch, another person comes in here. If they get Rooker, what do we do with Kutch? I think you bring Kutch back. If Kutch wants to be here, you bring him back. He can hit. He maybe doesn't have the same role that he has last year. Takes a step back, but if Kutch is willing to sign for $5 million, I don't think you can just let someone who can still hit like he can go somewhere else for $5 million. That's where I'm at with Kutch.
What's probably going to be more than $5 million. Also, that's the thing, because they'll
Maybe.
pay market value for him.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's where I'm sitting right now. Ha-Seong Kim, number 1 option. Pretty good corner outfield bat, number 2 option. I like the names being thrown out here, but I think Conforto is my choice. And then trade for a big bat. Make it happen. Find
With you.
somebody. Yeah.
With you. And I agree on all those points. That's just it's kind of unfortunate, like with Profar too. And also like with him, it seems like he's this weird every other year. Like, he's good 1 year, relatively speaking. Then the next year he falls off. Then he comes back to form, plays better. Then he falls off. So yeah, I think like the thing with Profar is you're paying for ceiling. Like, he's probably not going to live up to the contract. It's only to go down. There's no like real upside in getting Profar, where I think there's some upside in others, or just you're paying for the stability, because the other guys have just simply been good their entire time. So it's like I said, it's definitely going to be interesting in where they go. And again, like, I just think Reynolds plays a big part of that. But that also gives them options. I think they have the options. Like, if they're not able to land corner outfielders that they want to, and maybe they're able to get a Carlos Santana on the cheap at first, and that's a way to keep Brian Reynolds in the corner. That's what they'll end up doing, But the possibility of like, hey, we got some corner outfielders. The defense looks good. Let's put Brian Reynolds at first. We don't need to spend out there. It gives them some options as well. And again, the loads of depth they have at starting pitching gives them some options of what they can dangle and what they can get in return. So I think it kind of starts there also. It's like, what can they get in return, and then start filling out from there. They get a really good, corner outfielder or two, you can maneuver Reynolds at first, go which way. So again, like that, there's plenty of moves. What's funny though is I think we didn't really talk about the bullpen at all. And that's something that I think they certainly need to also address. That's not like the one guy, we're talking if there's going to be one move. I don't think the one move comes to the bullpen. I think it has to come offensively, but this bullpen does need addressed also.
Yeah, the bullpen, I agree, needs addressed, and they probably need to get a lefty in there. Like, right now, if you look at kind of what's in there now, there's certainly they've got a little bit of depth from the right side, but they need a left-handed arm.
They really have no lefties anywhere. What's like funny too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I mean,
basically Alter.
yeah, and you're gonna have like Tanner Scott is available. He's gonna get a ton of money from
He's
somebody,
not
so you gotta
coming to
imagine
Pittsburgh.
he's not on the market there. But I mean, Chapman's gonna be available. He's coming off a pretty good season, and Like do you just run that back? Do you try to run that back? But
Do you hate that idea?
yes.
For
I think
what
just
reason?
because of the money. I think you can go out there and you can find a really good lefty reliever and pay him half what you pay Chapman. Now, you're not going to get the strikeout. Like the swing and miss stuff is what makes Chapman Chapman. It's remarkable. It's some of the best in the league. You saw, we saw all this past season. He gets himself into jams, but he also gets himself out of jams too, because he can keep people from putting the ball in play.
Right.
So that's pretty valuable. And like, is he worth $10.5 million like the Pirates paid him last year? Yeah, probably. Like that, like for a reliever who can do what he can do, he's worth that. I think my issue is the Pirates in particular spending that much money on a guy who only pitches 50 innings a year. Like that's my issue, is just when you have a limited budget, how much of it can you spend on a reliever?
And not even a closer. Likely.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I don't hate the idea of bringing him back, just simply because I'm with you in the sense of like it's Aroldis Chapman, and when he's on, one of the best out there, point blank. We saw 105 how many times this year? It's crazy how good he can be, but it's also just when he's not on. Oh boy, it's
Yeah.
it's a lost game now. So like it comes with those type of struggles. But again, it's like I talk about on Fourth Friday. It's always kind of intrigued me how they didn't put him on waivers. That's the largest contract this team had, and after August heading into September, they weren't going anywhere. That's why they put other players on waivers. Why not him? Why not just lose that money if you're not going anywhere and let another team take it on? Unless you're maybe thinking forward, like, you know what, we kind of want to maybe. So
Yeah.
yeah, again, I wouldn't be hate. I wouldn't hate the idea of having him return, but the money thing's tough. Like I feel like it would have to come at a discounted rate
Mhm.
to make it work. Because
Yeah.
if there's this finite amount, and we're already talking about all these holes, or like if I'm talking about Teoscar Hernandez, like Teoscar Hernandez and Aroldis Chapman is just simply not going to happen in one same offseason for the 2025 Pittsburgh Pirates. So
Yeah. Teoscar
I'm with you.
Hernandez. So I will say, like, Spot Track put out their projections, like their free agent valuations, this past weekend, and Teoscar was 3 years, 73 million.
Right. Which
Which
like
I think
simply could be done.
it could be done. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see.
Right.
Some of the other names that we were throwing out there, Profar, they're putting it 2 years, 25. Tyler O'Neill, 3 years, 48. Santander, 5 years, 90. I think Santander maybe gets a little bit more than that too. Let's see some other names that we've been talking about. Ha-Seong Kim, 12 million a year. Adames, 7 years, 175 is their projection for him. So yeah,
Right.
just kind of going through here. Christian Walker, we haven't mentioned yet, but I saw a comment there, 3 years, 66 for Christian Walker. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're dealing with.
It's funny. Have him on the graphic. We didn't even bring him up. But yeah, Christian Walker's a great bat also. Also first base. Fills a hole and a
Yep.
need for sure. I just don't know. Again, the Pirates should be spending that much money on a first baseman.
Mhm. Someone here asks, who would you give up for Rooker? For me, like, any minor leaguer not named Bubba Chandler is available for a bat like that. Uh,
Same.
and multiple ones are available. Like if you need to give, this is where I'm at right now with this team, is you've got Paul Skeens for at least 4 more seasons, probably 5 if you were able to extend him, or if you're going to take him all the way to free agency, which I doubt the Pirates do. So let's
Right.
just say you've got Paul Skeens for 4 more seasons. You can't waste any of those seasons. You've got to go for it right now. You've got to, if there was ever a time or Bob Nutting to invest in this ball club, it's now. Pittsburgh Pirates have been around for 140 plus seasons. They've never had a pitcher as good as Paul Skeens before, ever in their entire existence. And if we're
Yep.
lucky enough, quote unquote, lucky enough for this team to still be around for another 140 years after this, they'll never have another pitcher as good as Paul Skeens. He is the best they will ever have. The best they've had. He's the best they have, and he's the best they'll ever
He's
have.
the best.
So when you are presented with that type of talent, this is it. This is your chance. Don't know when the next one's going to come. There hasn't been a chance like this in a long time. You've never had a talent like this. You have to surround him with the best possible options. And so if it means trading away your quote unquote future, I don't care. Like that's where I'm like, you have to take advantage of these next 4 seasons. And like I'm talking like Connor Griffin, right? Like if it takes Connor Griffin to land Brent Rooker, then I'm doing it. Like that's
Yeah.
Griffin's not going to help Paul Skeens out ever in his career. Like he's going to be here after long gone when he's gone. So take advantage of what you have right now. Go out there and add an impact bat. We'll worry about the rest later.
Yep. There's another draft coming up in 8 months. Take care of Connor Griffin's replacement then, or whatever. But you're right. Like this team, what they lacked before, which again, my viewpoint back then was I like this idea. It didn't work, and it led me to believe that it's harder for it to work. Now, I mean, the Guardians are doing a fantastic job of it, but sustained success is hard for small market teams. When you have a window, royals it up. When you have a window, go attack it. Go try to get that championship. And you're 100% correct. That window is Paul Skeens. The Paul Skeens era is a finite amount. 98% sure. Because I'm actually probably 99.999, but you never know. Something crazy might happen. But I'm like 98% sure that Paul Skeens is only going to be here for 4 years. So you're correct. While Paul Skeens is here for those 4 years, surround yourself with one of the best teams that this Pirates team has seen this side of the century, and go do something with it. Because that's the advantage of having a Paul Skeens on your team. He is the guy that's going to get you through the playoffs and get you to a World Series. He is going to Garrett Cole it up in this World Series as we talked to this preview. He's the guy who start game 1, game 3, game 7, or put in the in the relief role, whatever, to go ahead and win that series for you. So get the team there. Allow him to do it. So
yeah, that's it.
Bubba Chandler, I think he's uber talented. I'm not trading him for anything less of an elite package. So I'm with you on that. Whatever outside that takes to do whatever you need to do for this 4 years, do it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. And I think Chandler is good enough and advanced enough that like he can help win this year. That like in 2025, Bubba Chandler can help. So that's
100%.
why I'm holding on to him. But yeah, like there's no holding back at this point. You have to get into the postseason. You have to do it. So do it.
That's it.
Now's the time to do it.
Yes, sir. All right, Jim. Anything else you want to add?
No, let's get out of here. Alejandro does ask, does Paul have a no trade clause? So Paul's still under team control for 5 more years, 2 more years being league minimum, and 3 more years being arbitration. So the Pirates completely control his rights and can do whatever they want for him from now until 2029.
Yep.
So just to clear that up. But he becomes a free agent after the 2029 season. Make sure I'm doing my math right. Yeah. Yeah. So does he stay until 2029? That my guess is probably no. So yeah, you've got 4 years.
Yeah,
4
it's
more
probably
years for Paul
2028, and
Skeens.
then they trade him.
Make them count.
All right. Well, we'll be back again this week. Tomorrow, we debut a brand new show. Should be a good show, Jim.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, Ryan Alexander, the original founder of NS9 along with you. He's teaming up with John Parado, who's been covering the Pirates for basically as long as I've been alive. I think his first year was 1988. So he's been covering the team for a while. He's got some pretty fun stories, and him and Ryan are basically just gonna tell stories about Parado's, almost 40-year career covering the Pirates. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't listened or watched it yet, but it comes out tomorrow, I believe. And
Tomorrow. Yep.
yeah, should be a good show.
And that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Should be a good show. Just as anything you would expect John Parado, right? Should be a good ball game. So yeah, it's good. It's fun. Definitely worth a listen. He like you said, there's plenty of stories John has. And the thing I think I appreciate the most is just listening to a story told by John Parado. So here's your opportunity to listen to some of them. So yeah, tomorrow night that'll debut. Then of course we'll be back for NS9 Live and Sicko Sound Off on Friday.
Yep. Good week ahead.
Yeah, for sure. So that said, we're gonna get out of here. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.